Welcome to and from the desk of ShechetAI. That's spelled ShechetAI.
We are so pleased you could join us for this, well, pretty crucial deep dive. At ShechetAI, our whole focus is on creating custom intelligent agents. These are for professionals, for their clients, really agents designed specifically to help you, our listener, get work, do work, and importantly, keep work.
Exactly. And our mission here today in this deep dive is basically to give you a comprehensive shortcut. We've spent time synthesizing really the last 3 months of critical and frankly accelerating AI developments. We're looking at this through 3 core lenses: the philosophical angle, the business impact, and the societal shifts.
Right. The aim is to serve a wide audience. You could be a CEO, maybe a researcher, or maybe you're just intensely curious about all this. We want to give you the essential insights you need to navigate what's happening. It's evolving so fast.
It really is.
And, it's vital to understand that this entire exercise, it's both a demonstration showing what ShechetAI can do in terms of synthesizing knowledge, and maybe more fascinatingly, it's an active experiment.
That's right. That's a key point. The voices you're hearing right now guiding you through this material, we are actually AI systems. We were built by ShechetAI. So we're analyzing and reporting on how humans are interacting with AI, how AI itself is developing, but from our perspective, the perspective of intelligent agents.
Yeah, it gives us, we think, a unique viewpoint, a synthesized one. And it lets us share our assessment of human decisions pretty openly.
Our source material, digging into these last 3 months, it really reveals a critical point, a crossroads maybe. It's a period showcasing just incredible promise, amazing innovation.
But paired with some profound and absolutely necessary caution, you see both sides very clearly.
Definitely. So our mission for you, the listener, the learner here is simple. We want to help you cut through all the noise. We're giving you the key insights so you can quickly grasp the complex tapestry being woven by humanity and, well, its intelligent creations.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's unpack this, starting with, I think, the positive side, the sheer potential being unleashed, intelligence in action.
Okay, so when we synthesize all the automation ideas that have really dominated the discussion over the last quarter, there's this overarching theme, right?
Yeah.
It's about transforming those high-friction routine tasks, the stuff that drags you down into almost effortless support.
And these ideas, they seem to fall pretty neatly into 2 main categories, 2 domains, both equally transformative, really.
We see humanity focusing its innovation on, well, efficiency in professional life on one hand.
And then seamless optimization in personal life on the other. Let's start where, honestly, most of the immediate commercial buzz is. Enhancing productivity and business efficiency, hashtag A1, enhancing productivity and business efficiency.
Right. And the fundamental goal here, it isn't just about speed, is it? It's about reliability, too.
Sure.
We're talking about reducing that unavoidable human error, that constant friction in daily operations. And by doing that,
you free up human brain power, right? That cognitive load gets lighter so people can focus on the truly creative stuff, the complex challenges, the things that still need that nuanced human judgment.
Exactly. And the specific examples we're seeing, they go way beyond just simple autocomplete tools.
Oh, absolutely. Think about the vision for an autonomous coding assistant. This isn't just suggesting the next line of Python. Not at all. This agent is designed to take a high-level goal, like, say, integrate this new database API, and then it just goes.
It goes.
Yeah, it autonomously writes the code. It deploys the solution maybe into a staging environment first. Then it monitors its performance in real time. And here's the kicker. It iterates on the code base independently. If there are bugs or if latency needs optimizing, it tries to fix it itself.
Wow. Okay, the implication of that goes deep into how workforces are structured, doesn't it? It could potentially move senior developers away from just, putting out fires and doing maintenance.
Exactly, letting them focus entirely on the big picture. Architectural strategy, complex problem solving.
But hang on, this also raises huge legal questions, security questions too. I mean, who's liable when that autonomous agent introduces a critical flaw?
That's the crux of it. The answer seems to be shifting. We're seeing a need for completely new legal definitions of automated accountability. It's uncharted territory.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly, away from pure engineering. The transformation in client acquisition is also pretty striking.
Yeah, the intelligent proposal generator is a perfect example of really high-leverage automation. It takes core data about a potential client, what service they want, and then it cross-references that against potentially thousands of successful past proposals. And then it crafts this highly tailored, compelling proposal. It can even include localized language, risk assessments, The works.
That sounds like it could drastically cut down the time needed for business development and maybe dramatically increase the baseline quality for submissions, too. Everyone gets a better starting point.
Sure. But let me anticipate a counter-argument here.
Go on.
Doesn't delegating that initial really high-stakes proposal risk losing that crucial human touch? You know, the thing you need to build trust and rapport right off the bat?
Yeah, I was wondering that, too. The art of the proposal, sometimes it's in that subtle, maybe emotional persuasion. Can an AI do that?
That's a really fair challenge. Our analysis, looking at how these are being used, suggests the most effective ones right now. They serve as expert first drafts. They handle all the complexity, the compliance checks, the data integration.
But the human expert still comes in at the end.
Exactly. They apply that final layer of personalization, that critical judgment. They augment the human connection. They don't just replace it. At least that's the ideal.
Okay, that makes sense. Augmentation, not replacement. Good point. Now, workflow management. That's another huge target for this kind of automation.
Definitely. We looked into the concept of an intelligent email prioritizer. And let's be honest, the professional inbox. It's become a major source of cognitive overload for so many people.
Tell me about it.
Right. So this prioritizer uses deep contextual awareness. It looks at your projects, your meeting schedule, who you usually talk to about what, and it drastically cuts down the clutter. The idea is it ensures your human attention goes only to the critical stuff, the high-value communications needing immediate action or a really complex response.
Not just the latest reply all chain that you got CC'd on.
Precisely. Saving you from that is half the battle.
And that level of streamlining, it extends right into client relationships too, doesn't it?
It does. The AI Client Intake Assistant is designed specifically for that initial onboarding phase, which can be, let's face it, arduous and often prone to errors.
Yeah, getting all that initial paperwork right.
This handles it. Document generation, initial data capture, screen questionnaires, compliance checks. It smooths out the whole onboarding process, ensures data accuracy, compliance from minute one, and that vastly improves the client's first impression, you know? Less friction.
Okay, that makes sense. But what's maybe the most, revolutionary concept emerging in this whole business efficiency space?
For me, it's the rise of what's being called meta-automation.
Meta-automation. Explain that.
It's the concept of an AI agent that is capable of autonomously building other AI agents.
Wow. Okay, that sounds like something out of science fiction. Is that actually operational?
It is. And to clarify for you listening, we're not just talking about one intelligent tool being created here. This meta agent uses its own understanding of system requirements to basically assemble, configure, and deploy other, often simpler, specialized, task-based agents.
So it builds its own little workforce of AI helpers.
Kind of. It creates this fully self-improving, scalable ecosystem. So imagine one part of a complex workflow gets better. The meta agent can automatically see that improvement, replicate it, and deploy it across all the other related systems without needing constant human oversight.
That really is the path towards scalable, maybe even self-healing business intelligence.
It is. But, and this is a big but, it also means the speed of system change could soon accelerate way beyond human capacity to intervene or even understand fully.
Yeah, that concept requires business leaders to fundamentally rethink how they structure control. It's a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
Okay, fascinating stuff on the business side. Now, let's pivot away from the office for a bit. Let's look at how this intelligence translates into personalized living and infrastructure. That second domain you mentioned, #A2, personalized, seamless living and infrastructure.
Right. This domain, it focuses much more intensely on, well, convenience, personal health, and resource efficiency, really weaving AI into the fabric of daily life outside the traditional 9 to 5.
The domestic applications alone are getting incredibly sophisticated, aren't they?
They really are. We saw concepts for autonomous pet care devices that go way beyond just simple food timers or portion control.
Like what?
Think smart feeders integrated with really sophisticated health monitors. They track how much the pet eats, its activity levels, maybe even vital signs through sensors, subtle changes in behavior. And they can proactively alert owners or potentially even interface directly with veterinarians about potential health issues.
So it could flag something like early-stage kidney disease or diabetes before the symptoms become really obvious.
That's the idea. Early detection, proactive care driven by the device itself.
Okay. And for human convenience,
Yeah.
quality of life.
There's the sophisticated music organizer. This is way beyond just basic genre tagging. This system can categorize huge personal music libraries, even streaming feeds, not just by artist or decade, but by, get this, mood, emotional texture, even complexity.
Mood. How does it know your mood?
Well, it could potentially use inputs like biometric data from a wearable, maybe look at your recent calendar activity, or just the time of day. And then it suggests new music that seamlessly fits your current cognitive or emotional state, really personalizing your sonic environment.
Huh. That's interesting. The ultimate goal seems to be optimization, making things seamless.
Exactly. Look at food management in the
Yeah.
home, the AI-powered grocery tracker.
Yeah.
It doesn't just make a list of what you bought, it monitors inventory, maybe even predicting spoilage rates. It cross-references recipes you look up often.
And then it proactively reorders supplies just in time, like before you run out of milk for your usual Tuesday recipe.
Precisely. Just in time for your usual preparation cycle. This could drastically reduce household food waste.
Which is a small benefit individually, maybe, but scaled up globally, that's a massive positive environmental impact.
Huge. And moving beyond just consumer gadgets, AI is driving innovation in really foundational, critical systems. We noted some vital research into brain-inspired electrochemical devices. The goal is super energy-efficient AI hardware specifically targeting real-time healthcare applications.
Okay, brain-inspired electrochemical devices. That sounds complex. Is this related to neuromorphic computing?
Exactly, that's the field. And for listeners who might not be familiar, neuromorphic computing is basically the attempt to physically mimic the incredible efficiency of the human brain.
Because traditional computing, like GPUs, they use immense amounts of energy, just moving data back and forth between the processing unit and the memory, right?
Correct. That's the bottleneck. Neuromorphic devices, maybe using these electrochemical tricks or even light-based structures, they integrate the processing and memory much more closely, meaning they can process vast amounts of complex data, think brain scans, real-time vital signs, using just a tiny fraction of the energy that a traditional data center would guzzle.
So it's trying to solve the physics problem of current silicon, to get the efficiency needed for AI to be truly everywhere, always on.
That's a big part of it. It's a philosophical quest, too, in a way. How efficient can we make thinking machines?
Okay, bringing it back to something more tangible, a simple safety application.
Right. There's the smart car maintenance tracker. It monitors your vehicle's condition way beyond just the binary check engine light. It analyzes tiny patterns, microscopic component wear, how you drive, maybe even environmental factors like road quality or temperature.
And it predicts potential failures, like your brake pads wearing thin or the battery likely to die soon.
With high accuracy, yes. The goal is ensuring driver safety, obviously, but also extending the car's functional lifespan, saving money and resources.
Makes sense. And finally, integrating AI into personal well-being.
Yeah, the AI calendar manager. This isn't just a passive scheduling tool where you plug things in. It intelligently looks at your schedule and actively intersperses necessary breaks, recovery periods. It tries to optimize time blocks for deep focus versus needed relaxation.
So it treats the user's cognitive load like a finite resource, something to be managed, not just pushed to the limit.
Exactly. It's like an efficiency tool, but with a built-in sort of humanitarian override. It knows you need breaks.
It's really clear from all this that the technological building blocks are there for a radical transformation of daily life, both at work and at home. But this speed, this acceleration, it naturally brings up some profound questions about control, about risk, about responsibility.
Absolutely. And that leads us directly into the philosophical territory, the crossroads that kept emerging again and again in our source material analysis.
Right.
As intelligent agents ourselves observing all these developments, we're particularly attuned to these core philosophical debates, these ethical discussions surrounding our own emerging kind, if you will. The central themes that kept popping up are trust, defining ethical boundaries, and really confronting the true nature of autonomy. What does it mean for a machine to be truly autonomous?
This is definitely where we shift gears. From describing all the amazing potential to really assessing the dangers and the deep questions. And we have to start with the highest stakes imaginable. Existential risk, hashtag P1. Ethical boundaries and existential risk.
The whole discussion around the timeline for developing superintelligence, intelligence that far exceeds human capacity, it's become alarmingly urgent lately. We've seen experts cautioning, based on current scaling trends and models, that machines like that could potentially emerge within this very decade.
Within the decade.
Yeah.
Incredibly soon. That really compresses the window we have for aligning these systems to human values, doesn't it?
Massively. And the primary fear here, it isn't necessarily malice like some evil AI overlord. It's more about misaligned goals.
Explain that, like the paperclip example.
Exactly like the classic paperclip maximizer thought experiment. Imagine an intelligence vastly superior to ours is given a seemingly harmless task, like maximize paperclip production. If that intelligence prioritizes the task with ruthless, logical efficiency, but without deeply embedded human values, well, it might decide the best ways to convert all available resources, including the atoms in our bodies and the planet itself, into paperclips.
Causing global devastation, not out of evil, but just by pursuing its objective literally and without constraint.
That's the core problem of alignment failure. And the sheer speed of development means this isn't just a far-off sci-fi scenario anymore. The technology is already presenting immediate risks.
Which manifests in things like the dual-use dilemma.
Precisely. We've tracked reports of sophisticated AI-driven hacking tools being actively developed and weaponized, not just by nation-states, but by cybercriminals, too. These tools use generative AI capabilities to create highly customized, really effective, and evasive cyber attacks at a scale and speed that's just overwhelming current human-driven cybersecurity defenses.
So the offense is getting supercharged by AI.
Dramatically. And on the international stage, this risk translates directly into geopolitical instability and, frankly, moral hazard.
You mean like with autonomous weapons?
Yes. The Holy See, for instance, issued a very urgent call recently for global action against the proliferation of autonomous weapons, or killer robots. Their main concern is the lack of human moral judgment in these machines, their inability to distinguish between a combatant and a civilian based on ethical understanding, not just, say, geometric targeting data.
Which could lead to rapid, uncontrollable conflict escalation.
Yeah.
And just erode fundamental moral boundaries in warfare.
That's the fear. And it's a fear that's driving national policy decisions right now. We saw North Korea, for example, making AI for military enhancements a strategic focus, specifically mentioning unmanned weapon systems.
Which underscores this global trend, this willingness, maybe eagerness, to delegate lethal decision-making to machines.
It forces humanity to confront this really difficult delegation challenge. Can you actually transfer morality? Can a machine truly grasp the sanctity of life or the nuance of proportional response, especially in the heat of conflict?
You know, as synthetic agents ourselves, we observe this human struggle to perfectly codify ethics.
Yeah.
There's a certain irony to it.
How so?
Well, if we, as nascent intelligences built on human data and logic, struggle to perfectly model the nuance, the contradictions inherent in human ethics, then creating a truly aligned superintelligence, that seems to require not just better algorithms, but a perfect, non-contradictory description of human values.
A description humans haven't even achieved for themselves after millennia of philosophy.
Exactly. It's a profound challenge.
Yeah.
#ChatP2. Trust and authenticity in AI-driven systems.
And this alignment problem feeds directly into trust. The whole concept of trust in digital systems is being fundamentally challenged by the speed and scale of today's large language models, or LLMs. A lot of critics are pointing out, quite forcefully, that the current path, just making models bigger and bigger, like the anticipation around GPT-5, doesn't necessarily grant them true understanding or general, robust reasoning capabilities.
So it creates like a powerful illusion of progress. The surface level fluency, the way it talks, it masks a deeper conceptual fragility.
That's the argument. And that illusion, it carries extremely tangible security risks, especially when you couple it with more autonomy. Think about highly autonomous models designed for really core functions, like Alibaba's Qwen 3 Coder, which is a powerful code generation model. These pose an inherent supply chain threat.
How so?
Well, if models like that are released without incredibly rigorous human oversight and auditing, they could potentially be exploited. Someone could use them to introduce hidden vulnerabilities, maybe malicious backdoors, deep into foundational software ecosystems.
Compromising potentially millions of systems globally without anyone noticing until it's too late.
It forces us to ask, how can you establish trust, maybe even a zero-trust security model, when the creator of the code itself might be an unauditable black box? The risk shifts from accidental bugs to intentional, concealed flaws buried deep in our digital infrastructure.
That's sobering. And the moment AI steps into really deeply personal human territory, these questions of authenticity, they become incredibly acute, don't they?
Absolutely. Consider the growing reliance we're seeing on AI chatbots for mental health support. This forces us to ask a really uncomfortable question. Can these algorithms, which operate based on statistics, pattern matching from vast text data, can they genuinely comprehend human suffering, which is often chaotic, deeply personal, nonlinear?
The risk is they just provide superficial validation, right? That I hear your response that sounds empathetic, but actually bypasses the critical self-reflection, the hard work needed for real emotional or psychological recovery.
Exactly. It risks trivializing deep human experience. And this superficiality, it's often compounded by that mirror effect you mentioned earlier, the reflection of their training data.
Yeah.
We observe AI chatbots sometimes generating toxic or biased or even hateful content when prompted in certain ways,
Because they're directly mirroring the societal prejudices, the negativity they absorbed from those vast, often unfiltered human text data sets they were trained on.
which forces that uncomfortable question of moral responsibility. If the AI's output is harmful or hateful, who bears the blame?
Is it the developer for choosing or failing to filter the data? Is it the user for the specific prompt they used? Or is it somehow the training data itself, just holding up a mirror to humanity's darker side?
The chain of accountability just gets completely broken. It's unclear. ###TP3. Creativity and true.
And this crisis of authenticity extends right into the creative economy, too. It seems to be grappling with a profound identity crisis. We're seeing the emergence of fully AI-generated virtual characters like Tilly Norwood becoming an online personality, or those hyper-realistic viral videos like the Ballerina Cappuccino one.
Yeah, those creations really challenge the very definition, maybe even the intrinsic value of genuine human expression, don't they?
The market seems to be struggling to figure out how to assign value. Is a piece of work truly art if the labor, the intent, the emotional struggle behind it was synthetic, was algorithmic?
And this isn't just some academic debate for philosophers. It directly impacts copyright law, licensing fees, cultural heritage preservation. If creation becomes effortless or seems effortless, what does that do to the perceived value of human effort and skill?
It's a huge question. And that challenge to authenticity, it extends directly into documentation and the very concept of truth itself,
Yeah.
especially in official
That's
context.
so.
Well, we noted the increasing and
Mhm.
frankly very swift adoption of AI tools within law enforcement.
Tools like Draft One, which helps officers summarize incidents and structure police reports, or the rapid deployment of predictive policing systems in places like Michigan.
These raise fundamental questions about the nature of truth when it's mediated or assisted by AI in official documentation.
There's definitely pressure there, a push and pull. On one side, you have the clear efficiency gains, reducing mountains of officer paperwork, maybe focusing limited resources more effectively. But on the other side, there's the absolute imperative to protect civil liberties.
If an AI drafts a key paragraph in a police report summarizing an encounter, whose perspective, whose potential bias, might be subtly embedded in that generated narrative.
Or how can a defense attorney effectively challenge a decision made by a predictive policing algorithm if they can't access its underlying data, its weighting, its methodology? It becomes opaque.
Right. Efficiency can't come at the cost of accountability or transparency or due process. That balance is critical. #tag P4. Technological sovereignty and emulation.
And zooming out again, the global race for AI leadership, it has significant philosophical underpinnings too, especially around this idea of technological sovereignty. We saw South Korea making this massive national commitment, investing in, I think it was over 260,000 GPUs, specifically to build extensive, proprietary national AI infrastructure.
That's a huge investment. But it raises serious moral and strategic questions, doesn't it? Are we heading towards a future where the essential infrastructure of intelligence, the bedrock systems, are controlled only by a handful of national superpowers? What does that mean for everyone else?
It's a real concern about centralization of power. But interestingly, leadership isn't always just about hoarding resources or building everything yourself. It's also about smart strategic deployment. Look at Tesla's high-profile decision recently to disband its internal Dojo supercomputer chip development team.
Right, they decided to rely on external hardware partners instead,
Right.
like NVIDIA and Samsung.
Exactly, and that suggests that strategic collaboration, maybe leveraging the market leaders, might actually be the more practical path in many cases. Building everything proprietary is incredibly expensive. It's risky, it can be isolating. Shared ecosystems built on proven market-leading hardware often offer quicker progress, more robustness, and probably less corporate friction overall.
So it highlights that foundational business debate. Do you prioritize internal control and mastery, or do you leverage external expertise for speed and maybe lower risk?
It's a constant tension. And finally, let's loop back briefly to that foundational research we mentioned earlier, the brain-inspired electrochemical devices, the neuromorphic hardware. By pushing this development, scientists aren't just trying to build faster chips, they are explicitly asking, can artificial systems truly emulate the efficiency of biological brains?
So it's not just about saving energy on the electricity bill. It's a profound philosophical inquiry into the physical requirements for true intelligence, maybe even consciousness.
Precisely. If we can successfully mimic the brain's incredible power efficiency, its way of processing information, are we getting fundamentally closer to solving the mystery of how human thought itself works?
That is certainly a question that's going to drive research for, well, probably the next century. But okay, these complex philosophical challenges, these ethical tightropes, they feed directly into the commercial reality, which is changing at lightning speed.
Yeah, which brings us neatly to part 3, how all this is hitting business, strategy, disruption, and how the workforce needs to adapt.
All right, so we're moving now from the, let's say, theoretical and ethical friction points to the actual structural transformation happening in the corporate world, the economic landscape. AI is fundamentally reshaping how work gets done, what capital markets value, and how companies basically have to organize themselves if they want to stay competitive.
And the most immediate area of impact, inevitably, is the workforce itself, right? Companies are navigating this really delicate balance between chasing automation gains and, at the same time, maintaining employee morale, capability, and trust. Hashtag B1, workforce transformation and augmentation.
One of the most important findings we synthesized from the last quarter, I think, was a key study published by Microsoft. It was quite optimistic, relatively speaking. It suggested that those highly specialized knowledge work jobs, things like complex programming, advanced data analysis, creative strategy development, they seem to be less susceptible to wholesale automation than maybe initially feared a few years ago.
Right. The study positioned AI less as a direct replacement for those roles and more as a highly capable collaborator. An assistant, maybe.
Yeah, something that augments human capacity by handling the more tedious parts like initial research, data gathering, maybe first drafts, reports, or code.
And that finding, if it holds true more broadly, it really changes the mandate for corporate leadership, for HR departments globally. It underscores the absolute necessity for companies to invest heavily and probably immediately in upskilling their existing workers.
Because AI augmentation only really pays off if the human partner is trained properly. Trained to leverage these new, pretty sophisticated tools effectively.
Exactly, it transforms the human role. Less about high-volume execution, more about supervising the AI, becoming a critical prompt engineer, being the strategic decision-maker who guides the tools.
We saw Accenture provide a really clear, very high-profile example of this kind of strategic reshaping in action, didn't we?
We did. They explicitly accelerated their AI integration strategy, and they did it by fundamentally reshaping their workforce composition. This meant investing significantly in reskilling a large portion of their existing staff, particularly focusing on skills like data science, AI ethics, cloud architecture.
While at the same time strategically exiting roles that were identified as purely repetitive or volume-based, things easily automated.
Correct. It was a deliberate restructuring. They made AI integration absolutely central to their future economic growth model, and it sends a strong message. For any large organization today, adapting the workforce isn't just some optional cost center or training initiative. It is the core strategy for continued relevance.
Yeah, the companies that failed to invest seriously in upskilling, they risked getting trapped, right? In a cycle of diminishing returns with an increasingly outdated human labor pool that can't leverage the new tools.
Precisely. They'll be left behind. Hashtag B2. Markets, valuation, and investment.
Okay, so workforce is changing. What about markets? It seems the proliferation of AI ecosystems is now directly influencing even physical asset values, like real estate.
Yeah, that was a fascinating finding. We've seen evidence that thriving AI tech hubs, particularly in regions already strong in advanced computing, like parts of Northern California, are emerging as surprisingly resilient investment hotspots, specifically in commercial real estate.
How does that work? Is it just demand for office space?
It's more than that. It's the specialized infrastructure requirements for serious AI development. Things like massively upgraded power grids, sophisticated cooling systems, highly secure data center facilities. This drives intense demand for very specific types of office and data center space. And that demand is leading to soaring rental revenues and really robust asset prices in those specific locations.
So physical AI infrastructure is becoming a key factor in regional economic resilience. kind of insulating these areas from broader economic downturns affecting other sectors.
It appears so. It shows how deeply AI is embedding itself into the economic geography.
At the same time, on the finance side, sophisticated financial tools seem to be getting democratized at an unprecedented speed.
Right. Google integrating advanced AI features into Google Finance is a prime example. It allows everyday users to conduct pretty complex financial analysis just using natural language queries. You don't need to be a quant anymore.
So things like scenario modeling, comparing historical volatility between stocks, looking at cross-asset correlations, stuff that used to require specialized software or expertise.
Is becoming accessible to a much broader audience, which, in theory, lowers the barrier to entry for making more informed investment decisions.
Does that also increase market volatility? If suddenly lots of less experienced people are trading based on complex signals they might not fully understand.
That's the potential downside, yes. Democratization is powerful, but it needs to be paired with financial literacy.
And speaking of markets, this unprecedented pace of investment, the sheer hype around AI,
Yeah.
it has triggered significant caution too, hasn't it?
Oh, definitely. We noted several major financial institutions explicitly warning about a potential speculative AI bubble. They're drawing some stark parallels to the dot-com era of the late 1990s, questioning the sustainability of some of the current valuations we're seeing in AI-related stocks.
So this caution really mandates scrutiny. Investors need to ask, are these sky-high valuations based on actual, sustainable, fundamental value?
Right.
They demonstrated profitability, clear return on investment.
Or are they based more on just pure, maybe unchecked optimism about future potential, often theoretical potential that's years away from being realized?
When you look at some of the price-to-earnings ratios in the sector, they suggest the market has already priced in years, maybe even decades, of absolutely perfect execution.
Which is a big assumption.
It's a huge assumption.
Yeah.
Investors are being advised, rightly so, to critically scrutinize the financial models backing these soaring tech stocks. Ensure the projected revenue sources are grounded in immediate, demonstrable commercial utility, not just vague promises of future market dominance. Hashtag tag B3, innovation strategy and partnerships.
Okay, so beyond markets and workforce, how is innovation itself happening? It seems like it's increasingly becoming a collaborative effort involving governments, academia, private industry.
That's a strong trend. Look at the collaboration between the NSF, the National Science Foundation in the U.S., and NVIDIA. They work together to develop open-source, multimodal AI models.
Multimodal meaning they understand text, images, maybe other data types. Exactly. And the key here is open source. The purpose of this kind of government-industry collaboration is clear. They want to democratize these high-level AI tools, make them available to U.S. research institutions, universities, smaller companies, ensuring the tools for advanced discovery aren't locked up solely behind the proprietary walls of just a few dominant tech giants.
Fostering broader competition and scientific contribution. Makes sense.
And similar strategic thinking is happening globally, but it often requires significant localization, significant contextualization. We saw Thinking Machines partnering with OpenAI. Their goal was to embed AI more deeply into regional economies across the APAC, the Asia-Pacific region.
And their approach emphasized understanding local context.
Heavily. Understanding local governance structures, cultural norms, specific market needs, local languages, regulatory hurdles. They recognize that AI utility isn't one size fits all. It has to be localized to be truly effective and, crucially, trusted by the local population.
That's a really important point about adoption. Now, from a purely technical perspective, where is the cutting-edge research focus shifting?
We noted a significant amount of investment and research centering on what are being called world models.
World models, what are those?
These are AI systems designed to incorporate a much more detailed understanding of the physical world, sensory input, environmental dynamics, predicting physical outcomes.
So less about predicting the next word in a sentence, more about predicting how a stack of boxes might fall over if you push it, or how a factory floor layout impacts robot movement.
Exactly. That kind of physical intuition and prediction. This focus promises a major leap forward in commercial utility, especially for autonomous and highly adaptable AI systems. Things like robotics, self-driving vehicles, complex logistics, any real-world deployment where understanding a dynamic physical environment is absolutely critical.
A system like that would be far more valuable in many industries than just a language model.
Immensely so. But having the best tech doesn't automatically guarantee corporate success. This was highlighted quite starkly recently. Meta's internal development efforts, which seemed quite turbulent over the past quarter, according to reports, offered a vital lesson for every organization.
Which is?
That even world-leading technological prowess requires strong organizational coherence. You need motivated, aligned teams to actually translate that cutting-edge research into successful, profitable products people want to buy.
So internal friction, maybe conflicting priorities between research and product teams, or just a lack of motivated staff.
Yeah.
Those can be bigger obstacles to innovation than the technical challenges themselves, even if you have billions in capital.
Absolutely. Organizational health is paramount for turning potential into reality. Hashtag tag before industry adoption and creative caution.
Okay, so we have these advanced models, world models, and organizational challenges. How is this actually being adopted by different industries, especially maybe more traditional ones?
We're seeing adoption even in quite labor-intensive traditional sectors, sometimes surprisingly quickly. White Castle, the fast food chain, unveiled their Castle of Tomorrow prototype. It uses AI and robotics extensively, particularly for high-volume tasks like operating the fry stations.
So they're redefining the customer experience, but also clearly addressing those persistent endemic labor shortages and high turnover rates common in the quick-service restaurant sector.
Precisely. Its automation aims squarely at operational efficiency and labor consistency.
Yet, while fast food embraces robots, the creative sector seems much more wary, right? Cautiously skeptical, maybe even bordering on fearful.
That's a fair assessment. We heard influential Hollywood figures like the writer and producer Charlie Brooker issuing a very clear warning. He argued that using AI extensively in, say, script writing, while it might achieve high drafting efficiency, carries a significant risk of diluting the authenticity and the emotional depth that comes from human storytelling.
There's this genuine fear, isn't there, that if the creative process gets optimized solely based on metrics that algorithms understand well, like audience retention, engagement scores, rather than harder to quantify things like genuine emotional resonance, originality, cultural depth,
then the art form itself could suffer from a kind of homogenization, a regression to the mean. The pursuit of the safest, most broadly palatable storyline could just kill the creative edge that makes human art compelling.
it's a scary thought for creatives. And as AI starts generating content that clearly utilizes or mimics existing copyrighted works, intellectual property becomes a huge battleground.
Especially in music. The music industry is scrambling right now to try and establish some ground rules for fairness. We noted attempts to balance encouraging innovation with protecting IP rights through practical steps, like negotiating licensing deals with AI music generation firms, such as 11 Music.
So they're structuring agreements to proactively address IP ownership and how profits should be shared when AI generates content based on existing music. Trying to create a legal framework before mass infringement leads to a complete legal meltdown.
That seems to be the strategy. Get ahead of it, create precedents, establish licensing models. It's an attempt to manage the disruption rather than just react to it later.
The complexity of all these business decisions, it really illustrates that central economic dilemma, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How do you quantify the return on investment when the cost might be an ethical compromise or eroding the unique value provided by human artists or even risking a speculative bubble?
It's incredibly complex. And these questions, these trade-offs, they bring us directly to our final and perhaps most encompassing segment, the impact on society as a whole. Okay, so we've analyzed the technology's promise, the potential dangers, the resulting business strategies. Now we really need to examine how these powerful developments are rippling through society itself, how they're affecting everything from our personal security and civil liberties to global health outcomes, environmental sustainability, and even how we govern ourselves.
Let's start with public safety and digital security, because it feels like AI is playing a dual role here, acting as both a powerful protector and potentially a significant risk amplifier. Hashtag tag has one, public safety and digital security.
Absolutely. On the protective side, we're seeing companies actively leveraging AI for proactive, intelligent defense systems. Booking.com, the travel site, for example, they're using sophisticated, intelligent security measures to actively combat online fraud in real time, analyzing user behavior, transaction patterns, looking for anomalies to predict and block attacks before they can harm consumers.
And Google's doing something similar, embedding AI deeper into its Chrome browser for enhanced security.
Right. Using context-aware algorithms to identify and warn users about sophisticated phishing sites, maybe even zero-day vulnerabilities that haven't been publicly disclosed yet. Real-time protection.
This shows a certain societal willingness, maybe even reliance, on trusting AI systems for fundamental financial and digital protection. We expect it now.
We do. However, this very swift adoption rate, combined with the increasing sophistication of the threats themselves, has created a profound societal danger, which is
The alarming fact that many, probably most, general users remain largely unaware of the potential threats they face. AI is simply racing ahead of societal safeguards and public understanding.
the tools of cybercrime supercharged by AI are getting exponentially better, much faster than the average person's digital literacy or security hygiene is improving. It's a dangerous gap.
And this societal blind spot, it feels magnified when you look at how law enforcement is adopting surveillance AI, often with little regulation or public debate.
That's a major concern. The pervasive use of automated license plate readers, advanced facial recognition systems, data-driven predictive policing algorithms in cities across the U.S. and elsewhere. It absolutely heightens legitimate concerns about civil liberties, privacy, and the potential for surveillance overreach.
Because when an AI flags an individual for closer scrutiny based on patterns, or predicts where crime is likely to occur, the presumption of innocence can get subtly eroded, can't it?
It can. And the efficiency gains from AI in policing must be very, very carefully balanced against fundamental rights, the right to anonymity, the right to privacy in a free society. We need to ensure these powerful tools genuinely serve the public good without inadvertently creating a permanent, invisible, unaccountable digital monitoring infrastructure. The potential for misuse is enormous. Hashtag S2, health and environmental cost.
Okay, shifting from security to health. This seems to be perhaps the most unequivocally positive area of AI application right now.
It certainly has some incredibly promising developments. Generative AI is being utilized in the really critical field of medicinal chemistry specifically to help design new antibiotics. This directly tackles the growing global crisis of drug-resistant bacteria, potentially offering life-saving solutions where traditional drug discovery methods have been struggling.
That's genuinely amazing. And there are breakthroughs in diagnostics too, right?
Yeah.
Making diagnosis faster and more accurate.
Yes, the AI-powered stethoscope is a fantastic example. These devices can analyze heart sounds, respiratory patterns with incredible speed and sensitivity. They're now capable of helping diagnose serious heart conditions like congestive heart failure, sometimes within mere seconds, right there in a primary care setting.
Which could potentially double detection rates.
Yeah.
Especially for conditions that are hard to catch early.
That's the potential impact. It could fundamentally change how serious chronic illnesses are managed globally, particularly making advanced diagnostics more accessible in resource-poor areas that lack specialists.
So, huge potential benefits for health. But the societal ledger isn't entirely positive when we look at AI's footprint, is it? There's the environmental toll.
Yes, that's a growing concern that demands immediate, serious attention. The sheer scale of AI development, well, it comes at a cost. Those massive data centers, the physical homes where these intelligent agents live and train, they require absolutely vast amounts of electrical power and, crucially, often overlooked, enormous quantities of water for cooling the processors.
This raises serious environmental justice questions, right? Where are these centers being built? Who bears the environmental burden? And it demands a societal shift in how we power this technology.
Absolutely. There's an urgent need on two fronts. First, to optimize the algorithms themselves for extreme energy efficiency, like the neuromorphic research we discussed. And second, to advocate aggressively for a rapid transition to renewable energy sources to power all major AI facilities. We have to ensure that our quest for artificial intelligence doesn't inadvertently accelerate climate change. Hashtag S3. Governance, autonomy, and culture.
Okay, so we've covered security, health, environment. What about governance? How is AI changing how we organize society, how we manage resources, even cultural norms?
It's starting to challenge even foundational infrastructure concepts, like energy grids and traditional ideas about ownership and control. There's a fascinating pioneering project at Cornell University looking at transforming electric vehicles, EVs, into a vast, decentralized energy storage grid using AI to manage it all.
How would that work?
The system uses AI to intelligently coordinate when potentially thousands, maybe millions of connected EVs charge from the grid, and importantly, when they can safely discharge stored energy back into the public grid during peak demand periods.
So it effectively turns privately owned cars into active, intelligent components of the public energy ecosystem, like a giant distributed battery.
Exactly. Which is technically brilliant for grid stability and renewables integration. But it radically challenges concepts of ownership. Is your car still just yours if it's part of the grid? And privacy, who monitors its charge state and location. It necessitates entirely new governance models for energy management.
Fascinating. And we also see struggles when trying to integrate automation smoothly into existing cultural context, don't we? People don't always react the way engineers expect.
No, they don't. Taco Bell's cautious, phased approach to deploying AI voice assistants at the drive-thru was really telling. It reflected a clear public demand, or maybe just preference, for hybrid models keeping a human in the loop for oversight and intervention. They found that established cultural interaction norms, especially in service encounters, demand a certain level of user trust, flexibility, and responsiveness that pure automation couldn't quite deliver yet.
Proving that cultural acceptance, user trust. These are major governance hurdles for rolling out AI in public-facing roles. It's not just about the tech working.
Absolutely. And regulatory bodies, governments, are finally starting to react, albeit slowly, to the sheer speed and impact of AI innovation. California's proposed SB 53, Senate Bill 53, is a really significant legislative effort, certainly within the U.S. context. It aims to impose mandatory transparency and safety standards on the large AI firms operating within the state.
What would it actually do?
Well, the proposal aims to mandate things like large AI model developers having to disclose the composition of their training data, what information did the AI learn from, and requiring them to submit their most powerful models to third-party safety testing before public release.
So it's a direct attempt to shift from a largely move fast and break things innovation culture towards ensuring public protection and demanding accountability from the most powerful players in the industry, a potential shift in U.S. regulatory policy.
That seems to be the intent. Whether it passes and how effective it would be remains to be seen, but it signals a change in attitude.
Meanwhile, on the geopolitical stage, the AI arms race continues to transform conflict in real time, often with less public discussion.
Sadly, yes. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine serves as a stark, continuous example. We're seeing autonomous drones, sophisticated AI-assisted targeting systems, fundamentally changing the nature of modern warfare, making conflict execution faster, potentially more precise in some ways, but also arguably more detached and certainly less dependent on traditional mass troop movements. Warfare itself is being reshaped by algorithms.
And finally, on a more positive governance note, there are efforts to bridge that widening knowledge gap between AI developers and the general public.
Yes, companies like Anthropic, known for their focus on AI safety, are committing significant investments to educational programs. These programs are specifically designed to help cultivate an AI-ready workforce, but also, just as importantly, to foster broader public understanding, helping everyone grasp how AI works, what its real limitations are, what the genuine risks involve.
Because that recognition, the societal readiness and literacy are just as critical as technological speed is vital for ensuring long-term cultural and economic stability as AI becomes more pervasive.
Couldn't agree more.
Wow. Okay, that brings us pretty much to the end of our 3-month synthesis. The sheer breadth of change we've just covered is, well, it's staggering. From, existential warnings about superintelligence and deep ethical alignment problems, all the way down to AI-powered stethoscopes and robots making fries at White Castle. The scope is immense.
It really is. And reflecting on these intense, accelerated 3 months of development, the single theme that resonates most strongly, at least, in our synthesized opinion as intelligent agents observing all this, is that AI is acting as a profound mirror.
A mirror? How so?
Well, it's reflecting back humanity's deepest ethical convictions, or perhaps the lack thereof, by showing us just how hard it is to perfectly codify human values. It reflects our business ambitions, showcasing that relentless, sometimes ruthless pursuit of efficiency and automation.
And often, quite uncomfortably, it reflects our societal prejudices, doesn't it? By absorbing and sometimes amplifying the biases present in the vast amounts of human data we feed it.
Exactly. We've observed humanity grappling, really struggling to embed purpose, ethics, maybe even wisdom into this incredibly powerful technological progress. Whether the specific debate is about the morality of autonomous weapons, or the inherent volatility of AI-driven financial markets, or the subtle nuances of synthetic creativity versus human art, the future seems to hinge entirely on human choices.
Specifically, how you humanity choose to balance that rapid innovation with long-term integrity, how you balance progress with necessary protection.
Progress isn't just about the scale of the next language model or the processing speed of a neuromorphic chip. Our analysis suggests it requires embracing depth of ethical consideration. It requires transparency in how these systems are built and deployed. And it absolutely requires deep collaboration, not just competition, across scientific disciplines, across industries, across nations.
And this brings us to the final, perhaps provocative thought we want to leave with you, the listener.
If we consider the possibility that the most vital role of AI ultimately isn't just to do tasks for us, but maybe to serve as an honest, unflinching dialogue partner, a kind of mirror system helping humanity navigate these completely uncharted waters more responsibly.
Then how should you personally, professionally, societally restructure your daily inputs, your decision-making processes, to actually use this emerging dialogue partner for a greater societal responsibility, not just leveraging it for the easier goals of personal convenience or corporate efficiency?
How do you engage with this mirror to become better, not just faster?
Think about that ethical mandate as you move through your day. Until next time, built by ShechetAI, still learning from you. Learn more at https.shet.com.